What if fear is totally not the bad guy? By Shah of the Cosmos. So a pretty influential and important dude in history said, quote, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself," end quote. Franklin D. Roosevelt. He said it for the comfort of the masses and for impact, to create trust, of course. But it's my belief that this statement, a quote that has been used repeatedly now for damn near 100 years, helped create a somewhat skewed perception and even what some would consider a misconception about what fear actually is, how fear happens for us, and what we should do with fear when it arises. Fear has been created into an incredible wrongness in the minds of humanity, and there's a whole slew of reasons why. President Roosevelt obviously is not to blame for the misconceptions. His quote was just the perfect example for the wrongness that fear has been molded into. If fear did not exist, how would we appreciate or have the ability to understand freedom or courage? Polarities are necessary for our experience on the planet as humans. It's an incredible gift we've been given to experience adversity, overcome that adversity, and come out of it embracing the opposite of what we just overcame. Fear is the biggest adversity any of us face on this planet, and it shows up in dozens of various forms for each individual on their journey. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of the unknown, fear of loss, fear of scarcity, even fear of other people. And the minute fears and phobias are absolutely endless. We live on a fear-based planet where majority of our negative emotions stem directly from fear. Our denial of the embracing of the idea of fear has created more fear. Here's a bit of a lengthy example. Stick with me. A man has a fear of spiders and lives someplace where he must coexist with spiders. He goes to bed with fear of a spider climbing in with him. He wakes up afraid to encounter the spider during his morning routine. He leaves home hoping to not see a spider on the way to his car. Anytime he's outside, he can't even enjoy himself for fear he might come across a spider out in nature. Every aspect of this man's life is riddled with a minute fear. This fear switches on his fight, flight, or freeze response much more often than would be ideal, and as a result, other things in his life go awry and a snowball effect begins. He lacks good sleep, so his performance at work declines. Then he's in fear of losing his job. If he loses his job, he fears not being able to find a new one, and that spirals into the fear of losing his home, his vehicle, and loss of quality of life. These are all massive fears stemming from a tiny fear of spiders. What if this man decides that fear is an inevitable part of life and not something to feel wrong about, overcome, or conquer? What if he decides that fearing fear is limiting his quality of life, and he says to the fear, "Hey pal, we both exist here and we're both necessary here, and we have to figure out how to coexist here without me ruining my life for fear of you." Maybe he'd be inspired to successfully find ways to repel spiders from his home. People do it all the time. If you're no longer worried about cohabitating with spiders, it could open up a completely new way of living for him. Now, that was quite a silly, surface-level example and pretty low below, but I feel rather confident that your intellect as one of my readers could find branches off of that story to something deeper and potentially relatable to you in your own life. The point here is that fear is inevitable, and it is my belief that it should not be perceived as a wrongness or something that must be squashed, let's say. Pun intended. Maybe someday we'll live in a higher vibrational situation where it can go back to its intended use of alerting us to actual danger in our outer environment, as opposed to making us question our very existence in our day-to-day lives. A girl can dream, right?